Hi, my name is Stephanie Agaton Michaels, founder and CEO of the Stephanie Michaels Software Company. We've shown you a lot of videos on Religion VFX for motion graphics. In this video, what we want to do is show you how to use Religion in a more practical way for procedural 3D modeling. You can use Religion to build houses, build fences, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to create a new scene. Alrighty, this is the part of the video where we show you proof that the Univah film engine is running perfectly on integrated shared graphics. As you can see, I have opened my task manager so that you can see the CPU that I'm using to record this video. And this is live. And the GPU, as you can see, it's not a GTX, it's not an RTX, it's a basic Intel UHD 770. This is proof that the Univah film engine is possibly the most efficient 3D engine ever created. Alrighty, so we're gonna do some really amazing motion graphics and procedural 3D modeling right now. For those of you who have the Univah Lite software, just open it up and follow along with me. This is going to be a great exercise. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a floor just so that we can see what's going on underneath us. And I'm going to collapse our material editor and let's go ahead and add a cube. Alrighty, so that's good. Let's add a directional light. And I'm going to disable shadows for now, just because we're using integrated graphics and I don't want it to be slow, okay? Uh, Everything is really fast on GTX and dedicated graphics. But again, remember when you're using integrated graphics, you want to turn off the shadows, okay? All right, so we're gonna do what we typically do. We go to Religion VFX and we do a grid distribution. So this you should already be familiar with, okay? All we've done is we've clicked on the cube, we've gone to Religion, and we have selected grid distribution. And we are going to uncheck the effect rotation, and we're going to make sure that on the grid X and grid Y, it is not higher than 1. And we're going to work with the grid Z. So on the Z axis, we're going to make all of our points because we're trying to build a fence. And as you can see, I can use the center checkbox to center this distribution, which I highly recommend. Okay. And of course, that's how you show and hide all the instances. Now, in the attribute editor, we're going to use the cube parameters to shape these cubes to look more like an actual fence. Right now, they just look like cubes. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to scale this up on the Y procedurally. Now, you might be wondering why I'm using the cube parameters to do the scaling when I could have easily just used the gizmo. Well, it's because the cube parameters work on a procedural level. It's non-destructive. So whatever I do to one, it will do it for all instances. And again, because it's non-destructive, I can reset it and the original will go back, okay? All right, so we're just gonna make this flat. We're gonna get it to look more like a fence. And I hope you didn't miss what I did there on the right. I went to the transform effector and I just transformed the objects up. So now we're going to add some subdivisions. Why? Because then when we use the bevel, we can make this look like a fence. If we just leave it flat, it's not very cool. So we want to try to make this look as fence looking as possible. And to do that, we need to add some subdivisions and then play with the bevel. Okay, so now that's starting to look more like a fence. And then once we have that, we can actually just lower the subdivisions for Y. And then the Z subdivisions, I'm just going to play with it so you can see what it's doing. So right now I have it on 2. And when you increase it to 3, you can see that it has 3 sides. So that's what that's doing. That is what is controlling this. On 3, it has 3 sides. On 2, it has 2 sides. Okay? On 4, it's going to have 4 sides. So I hope that's clear. That's what the subdivisions are actually doing. Okay? Alrighty, so you can play with this to get it to look however you want. let's switch back to grid distribution. And so now we have a starter fence. And there's a lot that we can do with this. This is why I love religion actually like so much, is because religion works in such a way that we can create as many different effects simultaneously as we want. So we added one cube, which we've turned into a fence. Now we've added a second cube, which we're going to use as like we're going to have it going like horizontally across the fence. So same thing, we're going to just make sure we have one cube, and then we're going to make it a little longer. Yeah, okay. So we have just one instance, and we're going to transform it up. And now that it's up, let's push this source to the side somewhere. And you can hide the source. I'll show you how to do that later. Okay, so now we're working with this one instance, and we're going to make it flat, just like we did for the other fence. We're going to make this flat, and then we're going to do that. And this should be giving you some examples of how quickly you can do a lot of really amazing 3D modeling, and you can build an entire house this way. It's just creativity. It's going to be up to you and your creativity. But there's a lot you can do here. So now, because we're using a procedural workflow, we can easily just add as many as we want. And then we can change the spacing. It works just like any other religion object. So if we want it closer together, then we can decrease the spacing. If we want it spaced out, then we can increase the spacing on the y-axis. And as you can see, that's what's happening when we do that. And then we can transform it downward. Yeah, something like that. We can type a specific value if you want to get very specific. So I'm going to maybe do like 1.6 to get it to exactly what I want. Okay, so I think this is okay for this example. As you can see, very quickly, we've created something that looks like a fence. And this is much faster than if you were to place each plank one by one, or if you were to manually duplicate each plank. So we could have just added one plank and then use Control F to duplicate it 10 times. That's also kind of an efficient way of working, but then it wouldn't have been procedural. So manual duplication, that's cool and all, but doing it this way, this is procedural, which means we can change it on the fly if we change our mind. So now I want to add more, and it's easy. It's so much easier to add more or to remove the fences and do less. You see? So I really recommend you do your 3D modeling procedurally. It's going to save you so much time. And I mean, here's the proof you're seeing yourself. I did this in a matter of minutes, whereas traditionally it would have taken much longer to do this any other way. Okay, so I've extended our fence now, and I'm realizing that as I've extended our fence, we need to now also extend this guy, the guy that's going horizontally. How do we do that? Well, we go to grid distribution, and we need to add more points. So it's not a spacing issue. It's that I have just one point and I have to extend and add more points. So let me go back to grid and add more points. I have to go to grid X, I think, or grid Z. Yeah, Z. So now we're going to add more points to extend this, and there you go. And as we extend it, what's great about the transform effector is that it's going to be able to move it to the right position. So let's go to the transform effector, and we're just going to move it along the Z axis. Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. And then now we can extend it some more. Oh, there we go. So this is a really fast way of building a fence around your house, building a deck. If you have like a house on the lake, you want to build like a deck or something. You can do it very quickly. And then when you're ready to texture it, just texture it the same way. And you can use this textures. You don't have to do procedural texturing in this case, which would be using the style effector, because these are just basic fences and they're not going to change in shape that much to where it's going to make the texture look like crap. So on a case by case basis, you can decide if you want to use this form of texturing or if you want to use the style effector for for true procedural texturing. Okay, and I'll show you examples of how powerful the style effector is. Okay, alrighty. So we've added some textures and we're just playing with the UV. If ever you add textures and it doesn't look right on procedural models, just play with the UV and it's going to look good. Okay. So with proceduralism, because the items are always changing shape, your normals might change, like it changes the way the lights work and affect the object. So you have to really make sure you're keeping up to date with the UV. Okay, so you might have to update the UV. Okay, alrighty. So we can just apply that texture to this one. Whoops, I applied it to the direction light. Oh no, let's apply it to the fence. Okay, so I have applied the texture here, but as you can see, it's really stretched. So I'm going to fix that UV and I'm going to maybe type 10 for tiling. Okay. And typically, if you do it for U, you got to do it for V. All right, so that's looking good. And again, this is a very quick example, building a fence under 5 minutes. You can, of course, get as detailed as you want with this, but hopefully from this video you've learned that procedural 3D modeling in Univah Pro is not only possible, but it's very efficient. You can do it even if you don't have a GTX or RTX card. It'll work on any computer.